Not everyone can have $1 million idea, and even less people will have one that involves everyone's favorite comfort food, chicken fingers. Have you ever been to Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers? If not, you've probably still heard of this fast-growing fast food chain with many regulars. But did you know that Todd Graves, the owner of the brand, was set to fail from the start? He rose against the odds, starting from one of the worst students in his business class to the leader of a chicken fingers empire. To find out more about your favorite fast food chains, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new video and give us a like. Let's start where it all began, and where we'll often come back thanks to Todd's attachment to his home city, Louisiana. The dream of creating his own restaurant had been a lifelong one for Todd Graves. He worked for a variety of them as a teen and during his studies, and always imagined himself opening one someday. The opportunity to kickstart his dream finally came during one of his business classes in college. One of their teachers tasked the students with coming up with a business idea and a plan for it. Todd teamed up with his best friend, Craig Sylvie. The two came up with a very simple but clear concept, a restaurant that would focus on serving only chicken fingers. Since it would be the only dish, it wouldn't cost much, and the food would be easy to make. They'd be sure to consistently provide quality food for the customers in a nice, chill atmosphere where friends would love to meet up. Now, whether you like chicken fingers or not, this sounds either like a dream or a nightmare. And it turned out Todd and Craig's teachers saw it more as a nightmare. Once they'd figure out the whole plan for their business, pouring their time and energy into the project, and finally got the result of their paper, they expected a good grade, but their project was returned with a D, the lowest grade in their class. Deterred, the boys still listened to their teacher's feedback. He said the idea was too simple to be successful, and especially with a dish as common as chicken fingers, there were too many giants as competitors, like KFC. Todd could have accepted the criticism and stopped there. Most people might have, in fact. But Todd truly believed his idea was good. He started filing out loan applications to get the funding required to start his restaurant. Most banks exactly had the same response as his teacher, however. His idea wasn't special enough. Without the banks on his side, Todd decided he would save the money to make his dream happen himself. He worked multiple hands-on jobs, and often far away from home or dangerous, like salmon fishing in Alaska, but didn't care, as long as the pay was good and allowed him to save a substantial amount of money. After years working far away from his home city, little by little, Todd saved enough to finally return to Louisiana to realize his dream. With all of his hard-earned money, Todd bought a derelict bakery just outside of Louisiana State University, where his teachers had dismissed his idea all of those years ago. What a way to prove him wrong! Todd gathered up his friends, including good old Craig, and got to work on renovating the building himself in order to save his money for the restaurant afterward. It was hard work, and it was really the least of Todd's worries after spending years working intense hours to save money. While tearing apart walls inside the building, Todd and his friends found the old-school logo of the bakery that was once in the building. Todd felt inspired by it and decided to keep a similar design for the logo of his own restaurant, which is a really cool detail. With a visual identity for his restaurant, the only thing missing was a name for it. His first find was not Raising Cane's, as a reminder to all the hard work that allowed him to make his dream come true. Todd first decided on Sockeyes Chicken Fingers, but the people around him pointed out that this might confuse customers since they were selling chicken and the name was related to fish. As stubborn as Todd had been following his ideas so far, he had to admit his friends were right. One of them suggested that he took inspiration from one of the building crew's most faithful companion, who came with Todd to the warehouse every day and had become sort of their mascot, his golden retriever, named Raising Cane. The dog also became the mascot of the restaurant, much more fitting than salmon's when it comes to serving chicken fingers. In 1996, the first Raising Cane's could finally open its doors to customers. Since Todd opened the first restaurant in his hometown, friends and people who knew him all came to support his endeavors in the first few days. With word of mouth, more clients were attracted by the busy restaurant, and the first few days of Raising Cane's were really exhausting for Todd, yet gratifying. On the first night, there were so many customers that the restaurant had to stay open until 3 a.m. to satisfy everyone. His success wasn't just thanks to his friends' help, however. First, Todd spent tedious hours finding the best quality ingredients for his chicken fingers. Then, he made sure that his vision of Raising Cane's being a chill place where friends could meet up and hang out came true. He made the working atmosphere a lot more relaxed than in most restaurants. Casual outfits were allowed, and employees were encouraged to put their own music into the restaurant's playlist. He figured that if the mood between the employees was fun and playful, that would reflect on the restaurant's atmosphere. The last part became really important in what made Raising Cane's so successful. It became a place employees were happy to come work at, and the kindness of the staff was often pointed out in the positive reviews Raising Cane's was getting. After the success of his first restaurant, Todd now wanted to expand the brand even further. He asked for the help of his friend Craig and named him co-CEO. Everything seemed to go well for Raising Cane's, and Todd was starting to see the good results of his simple yet innovative idea. There had to be trouble in paradise at some point. Being a fan of Bob Marley, Todd often joked around that chicken fingers were his one love, like the popular song of the singer. This seemed to fit the concept of Raising Cane's so well that Todd and Craig decided to make One Love the slogan of their restaurant. It was used in ads or in takeaway bags, in front of the restaurants, basically everywhere. They trademarked the slogan in 2005 as the brand began expanding and other restaurants were opening in the US. In the following years, Raising Cane's received many awards praising the quality of life for their employees, like the Best Place to Work recognition in 2007. It seemed like nothing could stop the booming business until 2013. Bob Marley's children had heard of the slogan and decided to sue Raising Cane's. They had the rights to all of Marley's legacy, including his image and sayings. Discussion to reach an agreement between the two parties ensued and lasted months and months until it was finally settled in 2014. They were allowed to keep the slogan. Now well established and liked around the United States, Todd wanted to try his hand at expanding the business further, beyond the borders. He set his sight on the Middle East. It will be difficult to adapt the brand and food for a new culture, but Todd was up for the challenge. The company spent time preparing to come to the country of Kuwait, but their plans were stopped by the international incident that kept us all inside our houses throughout 2020. COVID-19 struck, and like many other businesses, Raising Cane's began losing money. As someone who had always prioritized his employees' well-being, Todd found it really hard to think about closing down stores and putting his employees out of work. Instead, he decided to cut his own paycheck for this year and use that money to focus on keeping his stores open and his employees working. Todd took the virus spreading seriously, and the stores that didn't have a drive-thru and couldn't stay open were turned into mask-making factories to help the working effort during the pandemic. And thanks to Todd's involvement with keeping the restaurants safe once they were allowed to reopen, Raising Cane's was named the #1 fast casual dining restaurant for COVID-19 response and commitment to safety. Somehow, Raising Cane's came out of the pandemic unscathed, with no stores having closed down and no cut in staff. From an idea that left many skeptical to a booming business, Todd Graves' commitment to making his dreams come true and taking action for it to happen is to be admired. It's a perfect tale of how anyone can fight against the odds if they really believe in an idea. Plus, his choices have shown time and time again that he values everyone who has brought him this far, from his staff to his customers, and stayed humble. It's no wonder Raising Cane's has such a committed customer base. Maybe sometimes, all that we want is something simple, something that'll feel authentic. No novel concept, nothing fancy, just chicken fingers and people to enjoy them with. What about you? What if you could make a restaurant with only one food item on the menu? Which would you pick? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy learning about stories like this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss our next video.